This is Chad Stevens. Sam Malone is a name synonymous with morning radio in Houston. But it was actually Philadelphia where this recent college grad had planned on a master's in finance, when Ross Britton offered him a hefty sum of $6 an hour to be a joke writer. Opportunities came quick for the aspiring young talent, first in Philly, then a solo opportunity in Sarasota, and it was on to Buffalo, where he met his work wife, Maria Todd. It was then that things really started to happen for Sam. After #1 rating success in Buffalo, Malone and Maria were offered the morning show spot at struggling 104 KRBE in Houston. That's when the ratings dynamite really exploded. For the next 12 years, the Sam Malone Show was a staple of Morning Drive, featuring top movie stars, musicians, and even presidents. It didn't take long for the show to become the most listened to program in the state of Texas. Clear Channel came knocking and made Malone an offer he couldn't refuse. Take over the struggling morning show on Mix 96.5. The deal also offered him the opportunity to host a midday conservative talk radio show on 740 KTRH. Sam lifted Mix 96.5 to #1 in the ratings, but felt his passion and future belonged in talk radio. In fact, he successfully made the transition, as he puts it, from Cher to Cruise, plus the guarantee he would never have to play a 50 Cent song again. Sam's talk show talents caught the eye of the Salem Media Corporation, a conservative radio company with 115 stations. They offered him the morning show on AM 1070 The Answer. But Malone knew the importance of video in today's media landscape, so he single-handedly developed a video streaming platform, becoming the first radio host to televise his show onto smartphones and laptops, on demand, 24/7. In addition to his local show, Sam is the permanent fill-in for nationally syndicated talk show host Mike Gallagher, and he can often be heard on 323 stations to over 7 million listeners. Malone is also the owner of Houston's cutting-edge media company, 512 New Media. Of course, 512 New Media produces his morning show, but they are nationally known for developing marketing strategies, creating videos, building websites, and providing clients with national broadcast platforms. His family is happy to see that degree finally paid off, and Sam's almost paid off his student loans after all this time. Give a round of applause to Sam Malone, a 2017 inductee of the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
All right, let's address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. That was a huge mustache in the 80s. That's bigger than the bus, for crying out loud. You know, if there was a couple of things, if you'd asked me like 3 or 4 years ago, give me 2 things that'll never, ever, ever, ever happen in 2017, I would say, well, I'd be inducted into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, and the Astros would win the World Series. So anything can happen. It's great to be here in this room full of legends. I get to work with legends every day. Radio Hall of Famer J.P. Pritchard, radio legend Chuck Tiller, radio legend Tom Fontaine, and we get to do the morning show every day on AM 1070 The Answer. So it's still a great treat to be on the air every day after 31-ish years. I'll tell you one thing, when my wife and I, my wife Denise is here, we call her Princess. When we drive in the car together, we're often talking, but the radio is always on. But I turn down the radio when we talk. When I think the song is ending, I go, and I turn the radio up so I can listen to the DJ. When the DJ's done the break, I turn the radio back down and go, where were we? And she always says, you're like the only person in the world who does that. And I'm like, no, today I'm in a room full of people who do that. Right? We all drive like, wait. I hear this guy's a legend. Let me listen. But I want to share this with my wife. Our wedding anniversary is this Friday, 27 years. Innamorata di tutti innamorata. Because listen, with all our spouses, they schlep all over the country with us. Okay, we met in 1987. I was on the air in Philadelphia with that huge mustache. And she brought John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora to town for a fundraiser. And I went there and looked at John and Richie, and I was like, dude, who's the blonde? And we started dating. And I was on the radio, and things were going great in Philadelphia. Fresh out of college, things were going fantastic. And you know what happens in radio when things are going great? You get fired. You're out of a job. You're like, what did I do? Nothing. Ba-dum, boom. So the only job I could get as a young guy, I wanted my own show, was to go to Sarasota, Florida. Have you ever been to Sarasota, Florida? That is where grandparents send their grandparents to live, right? So I left Philadelphia and went to Sarasota, and Denise followed, and we got engaged on the beach in 1989. And the show was taking off and doing great. And you know what happens in radio when your morning show is doing great? You get fired. 6 weeks before our wedding. And she stuck with me. We got married, and guess where I was sent next? No, Buffalo, New York. We went, I should say she, because it was my job, but she went from the beautiful sandy beaches of Sarasota, Florida, to the frozen, godforsaken part of the country called Buffalo, New York. We were there 1 year. It went to minus 17 degrees one night in January. We were married a year, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, if you love me, you will get me the hell out of Buffalo, New York. And I called Don Anthony, if anybody remembers Don Anthony, the talent agent. I'm like, get me the hell out of Buffalo, New York. And he says, how about Houston, Texas? I'm like, great. As long as it doesn't snow, we're going. And I got here into Houston in 1993. And what's interesting was the station was having a little tough time. They're musically confused, as a consultant might say. But you know who was doing mornings 2 years before I got there? 2 years before I got there, the morning DJ was named Glenn Beck. Boy, his career really went down after that, didn't it? So he leaves. He does obviously phenomenal. And KRBE took off. And we've been blessed to have been in Houston since 1993. So to all the husbands and wives who have moved around the country, you should all look at your husbands and wives and say, I love you, honey. I want to say, I love you, honey. We're not moving anymore. Thanks. See you.